Look over here.
Welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. I decided to wear my most Dragula shirt that I own. It's really scary. It's really horrific. I hope YouTube allows us to stay up. Please guard your eyes. I'm wearing my Jade Jolie shirt.
David, hell is so hot. It's warm. It's a very, very warm and toasty place.
Good, because I hate the cold.
And what is happening, everybody? I'm Eve the Bunny, your Chicago drag artiste and queen of Ivy Park in my halls of Ivy Puffer, living, loving, kind of perplexed by this episode, but the fashions were a little patchwork, just like this coat I've got on.
And what are you drinking?
I'm drinking iced tea.
I'm drinking water, but not out of my cup mug. But you can get a cup mug at lonagecreations.etsy.com. We do ship internationally, so there are no excuses. Okay. We'll get into this, but while you're here, please do us a favor, subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video, and leave us comments. And I think you're going to have a lot of things to say once you hear our opinions, because I have a feeling we're going to disagree on a few things this episode. Let's go ahead and get into it. So our floor show theme was Frankenhooker. So great job with the background, Logan. Looks beautiful.
Yes, that's one of my favorite songs off of Born This Way by Lady Gaga. It's called Frankenhooker.
Oh, really?
No, actually it's called...
Okay, I was like, I haven't listened to that album in a while, I guess. Okay, so first up we have Asia Consent. What do you think of Asia, Eve?
Asia Consent. So Asia Consent for me, I will say honestly, I wasn't the craziest with the way the outfit looked. I do agree. I felt the bodysuit was a little bit ill-fitting, and for me, it didn't give so much more Frankenstein as it did like mutated monster. I was seeing more like a regular human got chemical spilled on them and started, you know what I mean, growing extra body parts and like body parts fusing together and all of this other kind of thing. It didn't look like someone took a whole bunch of different body parts and all put them together on the same person for me. And maybe that's just me and my mindset of having this old school aesthetic of what I think Frankenstein should look like, where you can see some stitching and some parts where it looks like things from different people have been put together on the same person. This just looks like almost like a person got turned inside out and then they just started growing extra body parts. And it kind of fell more into like a Cenobite for me than it did like a Frankenstein monster. Somebody else got that critique as well too on the runway, which is funny, but also at the same time, I still feel like their version looked more like it was, at least the Cenobite looked sewn together. This Cenobite does not look sewn together. It just looks like stuff started fusing into other stuff, and that kind of threw me out of it. Also, I was very gagged that she ended up using the curse of baldness for herself that she was cursed with during the episode. But then when we saw the wig that she was going to wear, or she said she was going to wear, and then we see this ball cap application, I was like, were you ever going to wear that? Was this the plan from the beginning? I don't know. But it was an interesting look for me. It like I said, it's giving me more Hills Have Eyes, Mongoloid, Cenobite fuse something than really like a Frankenstein. So it was okay, but I would not have had her in the top.
Well, I like this. Do I think it's one of her best looks this season? No, I don't, but I still don't think it looks bad. I thought that she had a really good shape on her. Like, I thought she was voluptuous. I didn't think that it looked oversized, but And I definitely didn't think it needed a wig, so I'm glad she decided not to use that ratty thing. I actually saw a lot of Frankenstein details into it, but she went a different route than everybody else, where she was made up of not just human parts, but a lot of animal parts. Like you would see like a pig face, and different like rats and all sorts of animals were making up the stitchwork of her body. And there's clear distinctions between parts of the skin color too. And she had a full-on boner, which was unexpected for me, but I wasn't mad at it. I just wanted it to be the level she was at usually, and it wasn't quite there, but I still liked it. Scores.
Okay, so I would be giving Asia a 70.
Ooh, okay. I gave her quite a bit higher. I gave her an 83. Okay. Next, we have Auntie.
Okay, things I did like out of this. I liked the take on the face kini with the three holes, having the three colors, and all of the colors that she had bouncing against the black. I did like that. It gave me like a Monster High kind of vibe look out of it. You know what I mean? Almost um kind of like Monster High doll, kind of like how Jaharia did in like one of the previous episodes, the doll challenge. Um, just those fluorescent bright colors against a black and white, I think looks is very striking. I wish that there would have been some type of reveal where maybe the headpiece came off and then there was a brain underneath, you know what I mean? Or the black skirt part ripped off in some kind of way and revealed something. I kind of hated the fact that the main amount of color that we saw was just on her face and then in the chest area, and then two of her like thighs, and that was it. Like you didn't even see her whole legs because most of her legs were covered with black with her black boots, and the skirt was like came right down to where the black boots did too. You know what I mean? Until she moved around and kicked and stuff, and that's when you really noticed her legs. And I was like, I wish we would have gotten to see more of the Technicolor after a while. Like I wish there would have been more reveals where we would have saw more body parts or more things coming off, like when she like made her arm come off and stuff. Um, it just started falling kind of flat. And I do feel like it did fall under like a cartoon route. Like it did give like a Looney Tunes version of a Frankenstein monster as a version, as opposed to like a scary Frankenstein monster. And I think they were trying to go for something that had a little bit more like gore in it, you know what I mean, and a little bit more literal like scare, because I feel like they've done that before where certain contestants have done what the brief was but they haven't been scary, like when Aurora did the baby, but she was baby New Year but she wasn't a scary baby, you know what I mean. I think that's what Auntie's biggest downfall was here. I think that the outfit itself was very, very cleanly made. Even the prosthetic pink penis that she put on when they when she was standing up there when they had all of them in the line and they did the camera pan down to up and they just scan over it. I was like, that looks like a very girthy pink. I was like, that Joker looks huge. I was like, that's kind of insane. But like I like the like ugh. I feel like this had so much potential. And I feel
Mhm.
like I just didn't get to fully see it go all the way there. I feel, you know what I mean? I guess that's the biggest problem.
Yeah. I'm with you mostly on this. I will say this was my least favorite look of the night, but I do think there's a good idea behind it. Like, I do like the more colorful, kind of cartoonish vibe for a Frankenhooker, but there's just a little bit of simplicity to it that I didn't expect. Like, it's kind of a simple bodysuit, and I at least like you can make it have that cartoon aesthetic and still dirty it up a little bit. And I really don't like the big exposed part of the chest because it just kind of loses shape and color and just becomes a big circle. Um, but I do like the face. The more I looked at the face, like I was bumping up my score because I'm like, oh, there's some actually really cool makeup details in the face. But it's just everything else wasn't matching up to the level of the face. So I think that's the main reason for me that this ended up being the least successful look of the night. Scores.
I'm gonna give it an 80, but I am gonna say I think one thing that really got me with the top part of it is it's strong and it's striking, but I think what was ultimately pulling me out of it is it was giving a costume quality.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's almost like if she was asked to like if someone was asked to dress up like Frankenstein for Halloween, and they put on an outfit that like they could have got out of a bag that had like the bolts attached to it. Because like even when I was noticing how she was standing, like the bolts aren't coming out of her neck; they're coming out of her shoulders because of the way that they're sewn
Yeah.
onto the sides of the outfit. You know what I mean? It was a little bit clunkier than what we've seen her put out for her to be known as kind of like the pageant Dragula girl. Usually, it would be something a little bit cleaner than this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Next, we have gray matter.
What was your score?
Oh, it was a 77.
Oh.
Yeah, I forgot to say that. Yes. Okay, next we have gray matter.
I liked Gray's. I also, like I said, feel like Gray went a Cenobite route. It does very much look like you're like a demonic sex slave kind of a situation. Um, Part of me, there's parts of this I really like. There's parts of this that I feel like that are okay for the look. They weren't specifically needed, and they do take me a little bit out of the category. So parts that I liked. I love the face makeup. I love the fact that we got a lash on. I don't even think we got a lash on. I don't know. What's something? No, I think he has like some hooded prosthetic over his eye. So his whole eye is kind of like sunken in. Like
Mm.
I loved the reveal at the beginning of his segment when they showed the bonded face first and then he turned around. Oh my God. That to me, I was like, this is what they're looking for. I was like, this is what they're looking for. I saw the tits and they had lights and stuff in them, and like you find out later that he hooks them up to a car battery and makes like sparks from it. I was like, this is what they're looking for. If Victoria Elizabeth Black was on this season, this is what she'd be wearing. And we'd be like, so she's winning this, right? Like it was he's in a heel. It ticks so many boxes of all of the things that they've been looking for from Gray since the beginning of this season. Whether it's been down to them being able to give strong characters and strong concepts, but also still being able to realize and remember that this is a drag competition. You know what I mean? The only thing that really takes me out of it a little bit is the straps, like the side, like the armor pieces that they have on their shoulders and their legs. Swan said they would look like they were made out of spines. Like they're supposed to be like spines worn as like body armor or whatever, which like I kind of got, but that's what put me more into a Cenobite route than a Frankenstein route. I'm like, it didn't fully need that. It pulls me a little out of the category of it being you as a Frankenstein monster, but I guess it's okay if it's body parts. You know what I mean? So I'm not mad at it. It didn't take so much away from it where I'm just like, no, it's not the right thing. But this, yeah, and like Gray is someone who's honestly their looks have been genuinely scary. Like, if I was asleep in my room in the dark and I saw gray matter standing in the corner of my room, I would lose all bodily function on myself. I would say I feel that way about every character I've seen Gray do except for the man on the train. But like the bunny, this, God, the one that they did last week, like yeah, they've got a really strong horror aspect, and I feel like that happens when it gets down to our final kind of competitors in the finale. You realize that you've got entertainers that fall really heavily into certain aspects of the Dragula format. You know what
Mm.
I mean? Like, and Gray's is horror. Grey's a horror 100%.
Yeah, I think we could honestly put them all like I think Auntie has the glamour, Asia has the filth, and Yuri, I guess, glamour. I don't know, but
I would say Yuri would have more of the glamour and Auntie would have more of the drag.
okay, yeah, we're counting drag as a
I count it because they
okay,
said in the intro.
okay.
I will always count. I will always count drag as a
Fair.
tenet of regular.
But as far as Gray goes, I agree. I felt like this was the one person that was genuinely creepy with their floor show, and I really like that aspect. Having the face on both sides of the head,
Jesus, that was
it
insane.
it works so well. And I've seen that a few times. Like, oh, you need to watch it Down Under, girl. But
Oh, someone did that before, but
yes, it
it
was really fun.
looked clean.
It did. I agree, absolutely. Even the effect of, like it's kind of like a skin mask that's been sewn onto her, like, that really works in this close-up photo that we have here. I get the whole, like, it reminds me of a Cenobite, like, it reminds me of that too, but I'm not mad at that. I feel like if Frankenhooker could work in that realm, um,
Right.
so there's just a lot about the actual costuming here that's really cool. The most impressive thing for me though was the usage of the sparks and light. I just thought that that was the icing on the cake in this floor show. And for me, Gray was once again my favorite of the week. So,
Yeah, I think I would honestly say I would say they would be one of my top two out of the week.
mhm,
Absolutely. Yeah.
fair. Okay, scores for Gray.
I'm giving grade 95. Actually 97.
Okay. I gave Gray a 90. Next, we have Yuri.
I also want to say that I feel like for me, Yuri gave the second best look because I feel like that almost like Yuri and Gray's Frankenstein monsters are like used to date or some shit. You know what I mean? Like their body parts put together of old lovers. Like there's something about them just complements each other. Like Gray isn't even really the more masculine one, but like this one is such a hyper feminine realization of kind of what Gray was already portraying, down to like the Madonna esque cone titties. And like my favorite part, honestly, is the way that the eyelets and everything are cut into her mask. Cause that mask is so much giving me like Leatherface, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's cut like the way the eyes are cut on that and the way it angles the whole thing up where it's like it almost looks like alien-esque. Like it looked good. It looked I saw Yuri's face, I was like, girl, you look good as hell. I will give you that. Like the past couple of episodes, you might have been really kicking it like people think you should have been, but you've been looking good. Her black and white look, she looks stunning in the face. Like Yuri's got some strong stuff. And I couldn't fault her for this one. She did a good job. I yeah. She looked the best performance wise to me too when she was performing. She looked the most sexy and sensual. Like I'm actually trying to make love to you. Like I feel like everybody else almost went too much of a jokey route or they took it way too seriously. And she was the only person really that was like, no, I actually want to look legitimately sexy. I don't want to look campy sexy. I want like to try to entice you. You know what I mean? And it really worked. So like I feel like she did what she needed to do.
Okay. Well, I do like this look, first of all. I think there's a lot of cool aspects to it. Like I thought the wig was really cool on this, the long ponytail. I like the spikes coming out of her, like all over really, but we can see the focus on the head with the spikes. Her performance of it was very good. For me, this might be my hot take. I think she is the person that gave me the least Franken out of the Frankenhooker. Like, it's the least Frankenstein for me. For me, when I look at this, I see before, like, if I had no idea what this was, um, my first guess would probably be voodoo doll, especially with all the spikes sticking out of it. It looks like a patched up doll in a lot of areas. And the second thing I would think is maybe like cosmetic surgery gone wrong, like almost like a face wrap after having a nose job or something. So I wish that there was more of a Frankenstein element for me. Um, but she did really deliver more on the hooker side, so I'll give her credit for that. I wanted her to push it a little bit further with the actual like patching up different parts of humans together. Because even like if you look at the parts where it's stitched together, like that looks like the same person on either side of the skin on her head. So,
Right.
um, so for me, she would have been in my bottom two based on the look, but based on performance, I get it. She really sold it during the lip sync. Scores.
I'm going to tie her with um,
Great.
Greg. I'm going to give her a 97.
Okay.
I did a great job.
I gave Yuri an 80.
For real.
Okay. And last we have Pie.
Pie. Um, so do you know, have you ever seen, are you a Marvel fan at all?
Yes.
So have you seen the Hulk movies?
Yes.
So do you know in the Hulk movies when like the Hulk is going up against somebody else and like the other bad guy has like too much of the Hulk serum and he injects
Hmm.
like, too many of them at one time, how like all of his body parts are randomly just start like like expanding at will, just all random willy-nilly, just muscly and stuff. I feel like that's what Pi looks like.
Hmm.
It's like he took too many Hulk serums and he's in mid transformation right now. It's like there's a lumbery steroidiness about him that I get for the concept of what he was trying to give, because I feel like that he was trying to give like a himbo kind of Frankenstein, like he got put together out of a whole bunch of like dead muscle bodybuilders to be just like some sex man. It's just the parts, some of the coloring I do agree with what the judges said. Give it too much more of a cartoon-esque quality. I mean, these colors also almost look like they're like how the body parts, how the muscle groups were all shaded in our science books, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Um, so it doesn't look that real. It looks very artificial. But the face, to me, I think is the biggest thing that makes me like, it's a great mask, it's a great face, but it does look like one of the floops from Spy Kids. Um, and that ain't sexy to nobody. So I don't know where he gonna be hooking. But yeah, it was I feel like it was smart in concept because it was something very polar opposite to what everybody else did. It was very much kind of like how when Nia Hulu did the big kitty muscle guy with the muscle bodysuit on last season, like
Hmm.
that kind of aesthetic. Like I'm gonna take it to the opposite of where Yuri and Gray are at and go to the more mask side of the hooker spectrum. I just don't feel like it I feel like that it would have been a better payoff if everything would have looked a little bit more flesh toned and realistic. Like if these all looked like skin flesh tone realistic gargantuan muscle sizes and stuff. I feel like it would the payoff would have just been a lot better. And this feels very much like a cartoon. Like it was pulled off of a TV screen and it kind of loses the scary because of that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I think most of the reasons you don't like it are reasons I do like it. um, in going into the season, we did our Instagram review, and I remember one thing I kept commenting on after looking at people's Instagrams was, "Wow, this cast is so colorful and bright." And I was like, this is going to be kind of refreshing watching Dragula and seeing just like bright colors throughout because you can still keep the horror element and show a lot of color. And we haven't gotten that as much as I expected, but we did get it here, and I think that's a really cool element. All of these different colors just really pop out. They really accentuate all the details and the muscles, and I think Pi is the person that by far went the most out of the box with this look, like doing the masculine himbo, as you said. I thought that was brilliant. Even the face, like it almost gives me like, what if a Picasso painting was some Frankenstein creature?
Yeah.
So I really like how she painted her face here, because that's not all mask. Like some of that is actual paint on her face, and it's very impressive paint. Um, but yeah, even the kind of filth aspects to it, like the the really big butthole in the back, which they, I guess they wanted more stuff leaking out of it. You know, I think we had just enough leaking out, if I'm if I'm gonna say so myself.
It's never enough. Mwah!
Uh, but yeah, I said it on the recap. This was giving me a little bit of Monstro Elizasu. If you've seen the substance, you know what I'm talking about. But I was into this. This was in my top two of the night. Hopefully, I made some points that made you think a little bit, Eve.
A little.
Scores,
Uh,
scores.
I'm gonna give Pi an 82.
Ooh, so Pi wouldn't have been in your bottom two. Yay.
No.
I gave Pi an 89.
So who would have been in my bottom two?
Based on scores, it looks like Asia was definitely your least favorite, followed by Auntie.
Ooh,
Yep, but
yeah.
not by much. It
But
was
I
close between Auntie and Pie.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was one of those when I saw everyone's look and I saw Auntie's, I knew she was probably in the bottom. I was like, I can tell you now that there's just certain parts of this that almost just ended up coming off as missed opportunities where I'm like, damn, it's almost like this is the last final push before making it to the finals and you didn't push it. You tried to take
Yeah.
the safe route out here and it didn't work out the best for you, you know?
Hmm.
So.
Yep. I agree. But thank you everybody for tuning into this episode of Look Over Here. If you haven't checked out our recap for this episode, you should go do that. It's kind of unhinged and it's kind of wild, and we all we all just talked in circles, but it was fun, right?
Yeah,
um,
I had a blast.
Good, me too. But also, while you're here, please do us a favor and subscribe to this channel, like this video, share this video with your friends, leave comments because I love reading those. And if you're interested in audio versions of these podcasts, you can find links to podcast versions of these in the description below. We also have our social media, which I forgot to put below, but here it is. We also have Brandon and Joey in there because they were on our recap. But with that said, oh, also you can get a cup merch at lonagcreations.etsy.com. We do ship internationally, so go check that out. But with that said, we are going to get out of here. So cheers.
Cheers.